Yo, 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 welcome back for the official time. My name's Stevie Moustaris, as always, and Shane Shertzer with me. And boy, welcome back to the Relistenables.
Let's go.
Coming up on our fourth one, released on YouTube. We just fucked this up when we were doing it originally. We couldn't think of which one we were doing. And so, I'm trying to think here. It was definitely Man on the Moon 2, Cuddy. Drake So Far Gone, and then Good Kid Mad City by Kendrick.
There it was.
Which is a phenomenal album, if you ask me.
Really good.
And so, shit. Let's dive into this one. Probably the oldest one we might do. I don't want to say might, but definitely an old one that we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's released August 10th of 1979 by one of the greatest artists of all time. If not the greatest artist, probably the best performer of all time.
Top three.
And it's no other than the man Michael Jackson. And we went with the album Off the Wall, which technically was his fifth studio album that he did solo. But it was his first one that he did under Epic Records.
That's crazy.
Which is released in, like we said, August 10th of 1979. And the first fun fact we're going to hit y'all with is Epic Records was the first album he did it with, but this was the record label he stayed with until he died in 2009, which coincidentally 30 years right after this album, I shouldn't say right after, but 30 years after this album was released, pretty much on the date.
What are the chances?
He died June 25th, and this album came out August 10th, so like, damn, it's kind of close. 30 years almost to the date. And this album we wanted to go with first because it was almost probably the first one that we can truly say that really put Michael Jackson on the map beyond Jackson 5, which that's where the other four albums, like, I know he did solo albums technically before these, but they were all under Jackson 5. They had the same sound. He wasn't in charge of anything that he could do. Motown Records had that shit locked. We've all heard the stories. His dad had it locked down. So
beat him up.
Yeah, so one of the coolest things about this album, in my opinion, was just it's produced by Quincy Jones, who's one of the biggest producers out there. Regardless if we're talking movies, regardless if we're talking music, it doesn't matter.
It's a big man.
Some of the notable ones I wrote down of that he's produced, movies-wise, was the number one that I've always known him as was Boys in the Hood soundtrack. Did phenomenal on that. That's a great movie. Great soundtrack.
Movie.
And then one that kind of shocked me was E.T., the extraterrestrial. Did not know that he did the soundtrack for it. But and then I also didn't know this one, but the newest one he's done was Suicide Squad.
Wow.
I did not know, but it made sense
like that
that shit. The movie was poo, but I like I definitely like the soundtrack. And then of course he did this album. He did Thriller. He did Bad for Michael Jackson.
Sheesh.
We'll get into it a little bit, but the way that he actually met MJ was through his time as the Scarecrow on The Wiz, and that's also one that he produced. And then we also have the USA for Africa's We Are the World, which is one of the biggest music videos ever. I think MJ's in it. Stevie Wonder, Elton John, anybody you could ever imagine.
Anybody who's anybody.
I'm pretty sure Freddie Mercury was in that. I think they had everybody. Dolly Parton. They had a lot of motherfuckers in that shit. So, yeah, dude. So I'm trying to think. I don't know if I want to dive in to how big this album was, or if I want to dive in about how we felt about the album re-listening to it. Because this is probably the first album I can truly say that we have done so far that I haven't heard, like all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
I know we were talking about it. I think you said you heard 3 songs before this. I think mine was 3, maybe 4. It's definitely a shorter album for us. It's a 10 album track, 10 track album, which
10 songs is short. That's
pretty short for an album. But 1979, when they were technically considered LPs and freaking records,
sure.
10 was quite a bit. Because I mean, damn, this thing had 2 sides. Not many people realize because it was on a this thing had 5 songs on each side, and that's probably why you only had 2. But dude, like I said, this is exactly where we're gonna go with it. Like I said, the reason I like this one so much is because this is the first time that we see Michael Jackson, all leashes off of him, everything. He's unchained. The dude is in charge of his music for once, for the first time in his career. Because I mean, it's very notable out there. We're not gonna break it down too much because we didn't do a Jackson 5 album, so we'll save it for that. But everybody knows that their dad Joe was one of the meanest people of all time, or at least most controlling when it came to the five siblings.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's well known out there that these guys eat, slept, and fucking literally breathe this music because of their dad, and like Motown Records and their dad had them locked down.
They was getting that belt.
Exactly. You're getting smacked up, you're getting bruised up, you're getting punched in the face. Oh, you're off the song. Okay, sorry.
You're out the group.
Sorry, you're off it. As long as Michael's there. Even Michael got his ass beat. I mean, we all know. I mean, shit.
Sheesh,
literally, troll. I'm happy this is in 1979 because this pod could have been very long if we did an older one and we got to talk about what happened in Michael's later life. But that's why I'm happy we can just talk about the music and leave all that kid touching and all that other shit and his awful childhood, everything off the table and just focus on music. And what's really shocked me as well was that he recorded this all within only like 6 months. It was literally between December 4th and June 3rd. And it was December 4th of 78 and June 3rd of 79, which he released it a month and a half later. And for the first time, he actually got to write songs of his own, like for his albums at least, and he actually can perform them without anybody saying anything. And off the top of your head, which ones would you say? He got to write 3 himself.
Really?
Like full 3 of them. Which ones do you think they were off this album?
Oh, shit. Let me look at the album real quick. I gotta say... Damn. So he wrote 3.
He writes 3, and I don't want to give spoilers, but it's almost not shocking once you figure out which 3 he wrote.
I feel like I want to say the first 3, but I want to say Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, and... I want to give him credit for She's Out of My Life, but I doubt it.
Bam. You got it.
Really?
Those are the 3 that he got to write. She's Out of My Life does have a writer on it, which we will talk about. We'll get into it. It does have one other writer. And another... Dude, this is in a time as well where writing music for other people was pretty much a job for real. Like, it was something that was okay. Like, you can write this stuff for me. Literally, the Jackson 5 had everything wrote for him. Everything was just planned out. You guys just had to do it. You guys had to be our puppets. And Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Rock With You, and She's Out of My Life that he actually wrote himself, which he's very happy with. Which, I mean, if you've listened to this album, those 3 are iconic. Yeah. And
those are solid.
And dude, I mean, I don't even know where to go. We have so many this breaks off into so many conversations. So let's just dive into the album, and then we'll get into all the fun facts. So we usually don't like just breaking down track by track, but with a short 10 track fucking album, it was might as well, because this is one of those albums, in my opinion, like we said, that it's just one of those ones that I'm very happy that we decided to do, because it's like I didn't actually hear a lot of these songs, and it's always been something like on my plate from music for what I want to do is like I've always wanted to like sit back and listen to the Princes, the Michael Jackson, the Elton John, like the songs that were like the album fillers that we didn't ever hear.
You hear the hits, but
they weren't the Rocket Mans, the Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, the Rock With You, the anything, Purple Rain, all the big songs we hear from our favorite artists.
I'd like to hear the little ones.
They almost seem untouchable. It's like well, I want to see him be human almost, and let's see him make
average hit.
Average. Yeah, exactly. Average. I was gonna say a bad song, but average hit makes more sense. And you're not going to find those on the first 2 songs here. Like, I was kind of shocked that he put these 2 in the beginning, but Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You are literally the first 2 songs you fucking hear.
It starts it off nice.
And also, I didn't even realize that Don't Stop Till You Get Enough is a 6-minute song. I think we're used to the radio hit, I think, or the edit, and the YouTube edits and the bar edits and stuff that are usually a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Right. But, dude, this song... fucking phenomenal. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough has always been one of my favorite songs. I think for me, that made it most iconic was Chris Tucker's part in Rush Hour. I don't know. I'm young, guys. I'm 27, so it's like this album was way before my time. So it's like I wasn't that actually hip to Michael Jackson. You know, like of course you heard Thriller and all these ones growing up, but Rush Hour I watched at a very young age. And Chris Tucker killing Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
What a
like,
good movie.
Ooh, at the casino, man. And they all get the guns out. It's one of the greatest scenes of all time. And they even got Jackie Chan come up and start dancing. It's beautiful. But, I mean, it's almost, there's really no point to even talk about the song other than the fact that I was shocked that it was 6 minutes and the fact Michael Jackson wrote it. But it's an iconic fucking song. It's easily a top 5 Michael Jackson song, in my opinion.
It's gotta be.
It just doesn't matter our opinions, but he does have probably every bit of 40 songs that are just iconic. Bangers. So if you add Jackson 5, of course, and then Rock With You is another one as well that we almost don't even have to talk about, but a shorter 3-minute 38-second song. I'm a huge fan. Like I said, MJ actually gets to write it, which he's very proud of, and it also even has Heatwave's very own, which Heatwave's an iconic disco band in the 70s and 60s. Was Rod Temperton is the lead singer. He actually helped write the song as well and helped produce it. which he actually makes his appearance on this album 3 times.
Does he?
Which I know, like, you and I probably have never heard of. Like, I've heard of Heatwave and stuff, but, like, it was the first time I've actually heard his name out loud, like, on paper. Like, I didn't know Rod Temperton was that iconic, so sorry. If you're an older person watching this and you hate us, I'm sorry, but
I don't know who that is.
the dude is iconic as fuck. So. And the list that we have of the writers on this album and the producers, it's
star-studded.
It's pretty iconic, yeah. Because then we go into another Michael Jackson written song as well, which he had already written apparently before this thing, because he put a few songs on here that he's already had written and stuff. But Working Day and Night was the next song, number 3, which is first time I've ever heard it. Cannot lie to you, and I was actually pleasantly surprised for real. And
yeah, you definitely
solid 5 minute 10 second, long as fuck. But what was one of the first things that came, because this has to be the first song you probably did hear for, like, at least re-listening the album, because clearly the first 2 you've heard. So
yeah.
What was kind of your vibes like?
I felt like a lot of his stuff, not that it sounds similar, but like you get that disco, like, okay,
yeah, that's
got me.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know. Just his like
working.
Yeah, just whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Really, he's got that like PG sound, like that 70s just.
His little flow is just.
And that,
iconic.
yeah, I'm happy you bring that up actually, because that was the other part that we kind of I skipped over, which I'm happy you brought up. I figured it would. Is the fact that this album as well is a whole different sound from Michael Jackson. You're used to the Jackson 4, sorry, I almost gave out a word, but Jackson 5, where it like a radio hit, nothing too crazy, gets a little slow every once in a while, like Ben that MJ wrote about his rat or whatever, his little mouse, whatever.
Didn't know that.
So like, oh yeah, we'll have to do a Jackson 5 album, but like you get all 5 of them mixed together, and they're all sound the same, radio hits like A B C. Yeah, they're amazing songs, but it's definitely more of like a pop, like, which I mean, MJ's the king of pop, we can't even be mad at it, but definitely his first album where he changes the incomplete sound, where he didn't want it to sound like the Jacksons, exactly as his words. And another thing too is that it took a lot of convincing of his dad to let him do this album.
I'm surprised that even happened.
Yeah, because his words, Joe Jackson himself, Joseph Jackson, said that the only reason he even let him was because he at the time didn't think it was affecting the Jackson 5 at all, the group, because that was always Joe's number one thing.
Yeah.
Which sadly, I mean,
kind of.
If I looked it up, in 74, 75, 1974, 75, of course, the Jackson 5 really started, like, numbers started dying off. They started kind of becoming unpopular. So 4 years later, here's Michael finally, like, reinventing himself almost. And I think deep down, I don't know Joe Jackson, but I think deep down he's like, Michael's that man. He's going to have to go solo sooner or later. Like, his brothers, like,
I would hope
Randy
so.
And all these guys are getting old as fuck. They can't be in a boy band anymore.
I hope he knew that.
They're not as young as Michael, so it's like, you got a young 21-year-old Michael finally gets approval from his dad. Like, hey, I can do an album. Are you serious? I can write. I can be in control of this. Like, are you sure, Dad? But I'm sure his dad just saw that money signs for sure. Geez. But yeah, fucking that's exactly what I was happy you brought up though, was the funk sound and because that's all he wanted. He just wanted that groove, that funk. And
disco. Before
we keep going as well, this album actually is considered largely as, if not number one, like a top 10 album that's so iconic for jazz and like the groovy tunes that we all like. So, and the soul feel. So yeah, which brings us on to Get on the Floor, which this is tough. This album's tough because, like you said, not to say they sound similar because he has a different sound in every song, but they are a very upbeat, except one song, which we'll get into. But
I hope not.
But you're gonna cry. We're gonna cry to this one. It was a good one, but
it was.
Real quick too, before we jump on to Get on the Floor, Working Day and Night. That was Working Day and Night and Get on the Floor gave me two like huge, like, because we're born in '93, we're coming up in the '90s, 2000s, so like Justin Timberlake is somebody that we talk about all the time, we listen to all the time, and I found in these two songs, I was so happy to listen to them because I was like, dude, I hear, like, there's a song on the 2020 Experience by JT, which is Don't Dance, or like Don't Hold the Wall, Just Dance or something, and it literally is pretty much Get on the Floor, but it's like his own little remix to it, so it was really cool to see the JT influence on here and really see where,
that
like,
is dope.
Like where
it started, or where you
got
it from.
We're gonna get into it a little bit, but like Michael Jackson is some of the most influential music. Everything that we hear comes pretty much nowadays is from Michael, almost in a way, like
some kind
Drake, Chris Brown.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Drake added the rapping or whatever, but like the Chris Brown, the Weeknd, Usher, JT, a lot, every R&B artist that you know, it's a mix of like Prince and Michael.
He stole my flow.
For real, I mean, seriously, they say about Eminem, they say Eminem stole Elvis's flow, all that shit. Like it's low key true. Like we have to find influence somewhere and inspiration from somewhere. So it's cool.
I like it
that these guys really come off there. So, but yeah, to go get on the floor. Here's another really, really dope writing part of, or a writer on here. Clearly, MJ writes. He is credited for every one, but I did find the article that said he only wrote 3 songs himself, and like fully. So, but this one he had Brothers Johnson's very own Louis Johnson, which Brothers Johnson's a huge iconic 70s 60s band, again soul and funk. So he's got like the godfathers of soul writing for him.
Shit, him performing. That's it.
And Get on the Floor is fucking phenomenal. I don't know if you guys listen to it. I wish we could play these, but we'd get copyrighted so quick and kicked off of YouTube, and it'd be pointless of us sitting here. So sorry if we sing in our awful voices like we do, but this one, I'm not gonna sing a song. I'm not
above
good enough,
average.
It's a phenomenal
We're
song.
not awful.
Yeah, we're not bad. And then which goes into the last song of the first side, and it's another Rod Temperton written song, Off the Wall, which is the album's name. So it's title name. So, and that's a fucking phenomenal song.
I
like
love that song.
There are
first time hearing
all these songs, man. He just kills them. He just knows how to make a good ass song. And then we dive into this one right here. Do you know? All right, so number 6, Girlfriend, which is one of my favorites. I love this song.
Yeah.
This was another one that I did not hear before today.
Me neither.
And phenomenal in my opinion.
Really good.
Without looking at my paper, do you know who wrote this song for him? I'm talking. This might be the most iconic one that we see.
I know.
Maybe.
I know that there were contributions from big names, and I know that there's 2 names on here that I literally wrote down on my notes that he got contributions from Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney. So I'm gonna say, I know it's 50-50 chance. I'm gonna say Paul McCartney.
Boom. Sir James, Paul McCartney, Beatles' very own, wrote this song, and I actually listened to this song because I know quite a bit of Beatles songs, and I have listened to a lot of Paul McCartney songs that he went solo, and you can really tell that he wrote this, like, not to sound like, oh, I know music, but it is kind of cool that, because if I almost want to hear Paul McCartney sing it. Like, I bet you there was a version for Paul that he probably sang this for Michael to be like, hey, this is how it should sound.
He definitely has recorded him singing it.
It's got to be phenomenal.
I want to hear it.
Like, not to go into like a complete different subject, but there are a couple of clips out there of songs that aren't theirs, but they wrote it and like sampled it for the certain artist that actually releases it. Mm-hmm. And this actually brings up a perfect point where not many people realize, but the Dream, the artist, he's actually one of like the biggest writers for Beyonce, and he's got like 4 or 5 songs out there, at least that I found and heard, that are the full song that he sang and like presented for Beyonce to show her like how it should sound. Like, I remember the one was If I Were a Boy, like that, one of the greatest songs of all time. But and then
I've never heard the Dream actually like sing though. So were they good?
You never heard the Dream sing? Sings a bunch of songs. Jesus.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Girl,
cultured.
I'm in love with you, baby. Just kidding, I wish I could sing, but
wow,
Shawty, you the shit.
Was that not the Dream right there?
I am the Dream. Give me auto-tune. I bet you I sound just like him. But no, and actually that's the other cool thing, because he is auto-tuned as fuck for people that don't know, but he sings without auto-tune for Beyonce, and it's beautiful. Beautiful as fuck. He kind of almost sounds just as good as our man, the CeeLo Green, who has been on every album that we've done so far, it feels like. But the other, my other take real quick for this song, Girlfriend, before we go into the only slow song in the album, one of the greatest ones. This one right here, Girlfriend, I will have to listen to it again after we do this. Mm-hmm. Bruno Mars. That's all I could think of. Bruno Mars to a T. A lot of his music. I love Bruno. We love Bruno Mars. Jesus Christ. Bruno Mars is amazing. That's another guy. Just taking him, like, completely just taking, I don't want to say taking just songs from MJ and doing them, but, like, he's trying to, almost mimic him. Almost, like, look up to him. Like, hey, dude, like, I can do a little MJ thing, which takes fucking skill. But definitely, if you guys go listen to Girlfriend by Michael Jackson, you'll get the Bruno Mars feel for sure. And then brings us in to number 7.
Oh God.
I texted this man earlier and said, hey, be aware, number 7, it's deep. It's a great song. And the title is She's Out of My Life, which again was written by MJ. And boy. this is up there with Ben. Like, honestly, this is because Ben, as a young, it was like one of the first songs I heard from Michael Jackson, other than Thriller and all that.
Yeah.
It's just watching him do it live, and like just a young little boy, but like has so much emotion into a song. It almost doesn't even make sense. It's like that kid has never lived any of these emotions, yet he's singing them and making me feel these ways. So, a young 21 Michael Jackson comes out with "She's Out of My Life," and I'm sitting here at 27 years old, which I know it's only 6 years older than the man when he was at his time, but I'm sitting here like, it hits me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care what your situation is. You've at least been in this situation once before on one of the other ends. You're either the one that is kind of like, oh, nah, you've been around my life forever. Fuck you, I'm done with you. Or you've been the one who's like, oh my God, I'm sitting there. I'm trying to be you forever. Like, and you're trying to fight for this woman, or you're trying to make this man fall in love with you. And then it takes some years, and you finally move on, and then now so we've all been there. It's the game of love, but he fucking murders this song. 3 minutes, 41 seconds, pure heaven, and I don't think there's a single thing of this song I would change.
Oh,
like, truly, this is the only other
perfection.
Other than the fact that we've listened to "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" and "Rock With You" so many times, and "Off the Wall" was the other one I've heard. But "She's Out of My League" got replayed 4 or 5 times a day, probably, which is more than any other song.
I didn't want to replay it, but I ended up replaying it a couple times.
It's one of those songs, like, if you're like the average person in life, when you're sad, you want to get sadder by listening to sadder music, and we just seem to put ourselves in those situations. This is one of those ones. I have nothing to be sad about in life right now. But guess who was listening to it? Like, nice. I was supposed to be sad about something. Like, me, motherfucker. Like, that's how good of a song this is. Like,
really good.
For real. Whew. Fucking phenomenal. And then, like you said, we had Stevie Wonder on the thing, as a writer on this album, and this is where he comes in, number 8, "I Can't Help It," which, boy, when we were just listening to this right before this was one of those songs where I was like, it could be a little nitpicky, but then I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, this song's fucking fire. Like, I didn't like the hook very much, but his verses and everything else, fucking phenomenal. Beat phenomenal. Fucking lyrics phenomenal. Stevie Wonder writing for him makes total sense. I want to hear, again, like I said about Paul McCartney, I want to hear Stevie Wonder's version of this, because we all know Stevie Wonder was that king, so.
He was. How did he write this?
I'm not about to get into it like this, but
sorry.
There is a theory out there that Stevie Wonder is now fully blind. And there are videos to prove it. Go watch it. I promise you it's real.
He's got
man's got some vision. It's 100% real. Look it up.
His other senses are like
100%. He has a little bit of vision. It's definitely dwindled over the years. But you look at younger Stevie Wonder, he just went with. He was like, "Fuck it. All right, I'm not gonna keep explaining that I'm fucking 40% blind. I'm just gonna keep going with I'm fucking blind." Yeah. Look it up. It's some real shit. You're fuck right. You, Stevie Wonder. How about that? Thanks for the writing of the song. But I know you. You're just trying to get us to feel bad for you, bud. You made good music, but you caught, son.
Gotcha.
But the Relistenables got you. Everybody's gonna hear this. Sight. But then we come into we're gonna keep the trend. The last 4 songs have been literally about love, and number 9, it's the Falling in Love, which written by Carol Bayer Sager. I don't know who the hell that is. Sorry for fucking your name up. And then David Foster, who I have actually heard of, good artist from the '60s, very good artist, but kind of up there with like definitely not as good as Frank Sinatra or anybody like that, but he was around that time. It was pretty damn good. He's got some hits, so phenomenal song. Definitely you can definitely tell that it was one of those songs that was supposed to be at the end of the album, because like at this time you were just putting out the first couple of tracks for the Flame ones, and then the end, it kind of like dwindled out. Which the song is still phenomenal, but it's still like it was kind of one of those ones where it's like, all right, I've heard the same kind of beat here now, even though there's only 10 tracks, but it's like I've kind of heard the same sound with like 4 of these songs. And then ends with Burn the Disco Out, another one by Rod Temperton. And this one I fuck with very heavy. I really like this Rod Temperton one, like Burn the Disco Out. It's got a little more of just that vibe, just the flow. It has more of an instrumental on it. Probably the least.
Oh my gosh! Imagine being on the dance floor and hearing some of these songs.
Dude, every time I hear Rock With You or Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, I'm like, dude, this
Let's get out on the dance floor.
This song.
Even though I don't dance, but
yeah, I don't dance, but I'll vibe to this shit. And that's how I felt with Burn the Disco Out. Like it was kind of like that. Definitely the least amount of lyrics that we hear on the song or on the album. for a song, but it was still phenomenal. Couldn't be any more mad at it. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. It definitely probably gets it. And then
not for you though.
Oh, it's close. It's close.
For me.
And that ends the two sides. And that's the 10 songs, but yeah, dude. What do you think your biggest takeaway from this album was? Like for the first time listening to it. I know we say re-listening, but for the first time listening to it, what would you say your biggest takeaways were, other than "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" and "Rock With You"?
Hearing how good honestly, like you said, hearing how good his other songs are, because a lot of these songs I haven't heard, so it's like, oh wow, this is Flame too.
Yeah, 100%.
Like all these are really good.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was expecting a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 of these songs to be like, ooh, no wonder I've never heard these before. Like, but I was pleasantly surprised. We were talking about it. We were talking about right before we did this. Like the first time listening to this, I was like, on some of the songs, and then re-listening to it again, and I was like, okay, sheesh, I see where you're going with these. So
yeah, that was one takeaway.
I was gonna say that was probably that. I agree with you. Also, the other one I wanted to really go with, other than "She's Out of My Life," which is just gorgeous song. I was really, really impressed to just to see how like joyful this man was with his music. I don't know how to explain it, like, because later on in his life, clearly kind of goes a little crazy. If you like, I guess people would consider him going a little nuts. Yeah. Definitely getting on the drugs or whatever. Definitely getting on, like, I mean, bleached his fucking skin.
I'm sure.
Goes through how many fucking legal troubles. Like,
definitely went through some shit.
We know Michael Moore is like damaged soul. Like I hate to say it like that, but he is. He's definitely like a hurt person deep down. Lived a really tough life. Like, you can see the dark sides to him. But then you listen to this album, and it's just like you can just hear how just innocent and how happy he was at the time.
Seems happy as fuck.
And you can like after researching on this album and seeing that it was the first album that he's got the okay to just do everything himself, you can almost hear him appreciate it and just fucking live it up. And it's pretty cool to listen to as a viewer. Like, honestly, because we just got done listening to, like we said, Good Kid, Mad City was the last one we did. Completely different feel. Like, I know it's 40 years younger, so it's still in its complete different genres. But like, I thought that was an overall amazing album, and I'm happy we got to listen to these. And this is probably gonna open the floodgates for the Elton John albums, which we're already gonna do. But like, dude, we're probably gonna do every single one of these, like every single one of Prince's albums, every single one of Michael Jackson's.
I would love the Prince album because I have not heard a lot of his music.
That's what I'm saying. Even Elton John, like, I've heard a lot of Elton John, but I've definitely done a deep dive on him, but I haven't heard a lot of his songs as well. And even like Queen, shit like that, like all these, it kind of gives me hope. You know what I'm saying? Because I've always had this thought, and it's stupid of me to think this, but like I've always thought this when it came to like 60s, 70s, 80s, like albums, before albums become iconic and so big, and you can almost thank this album for it, almost in a way. But that was like, oh, dude, there's probably a bunch of filler songs on there. No wonder we haven't heard them. They're probably dog shit. And then I'm sitting here like, sheesh, I think albums might have been more full back then than they are now. Like, you get a lot of track fillers nowadays.
You get
like
a lot of fat.
Some poop.
Gotta trim the fat.
Some poop. So,
some poop.
But real quick too, let's go into just some of the awards and shit to this one, which is mind-boggling to me. Like, I'm sorry, I wrote a shit ton down for this one.
I can't wait to hear them all.
So, in 1980, when it was open to actually hit Billboards and stuff, it peaked at number 3 on Billboard's LPs and tapes, and it spent 16 weeks at the top. And this is how outdated it is. This was another thing I really wanted to talk about. This is a legit chart itself. Billboard's always got like top 100 and stuff. They had a top black albums or top black artists chart back then, like would separate them, which I'm sure they realized after time, like, oh, all these guys are making the best music, so let's all just put them together, which pissed me off a little bit reading it, because I'm like, dude, you can just tell how segregated this was. But it spent 16 weeks on the top of the top black albums chart, which is phenomenal. Like, that's
a long time.
I think it's still he breaks his own record with albums, but at the time in 1979, if we can take ourselves there, he was definitely the leading person that's ever led that for that long. I think the record before that was like 4 weeks, and I think it was Aretha Franklin, if I'm correct. But like I said, he wrote 3 songs on here, which is iconic for him. Rock With You hit number 1. She's Out of My Life hit number 6. And then Off the Wall hit number 10. And of course, we got "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" was the number one Billboard's Hot 100 for like 7 weeks. Was something ridiculous, and
That's wild.
making that because that was the first single that he released from the album. It was the first solo number one that he had, other than like a Jackson 5 number one, but first solo one that he had since Ben, like we've talked about multiple times, which was 7 years before this album, which is that's pretty crazy. Wild because we all hear about how big Michael Jackson was and how iconic this man was, but like he really spent like 6 to 7 like hard years of like they wrote it with the Jackson 5 and like they're falling apart because they had the same sound so much and they couldn't change it up. So, and making with those 4 being in the top 10 for the Billboards 100, making it the first time that somebody's ever had 4 songs in the top 10 in the Billboards off a same album, which is
pretty good for a 10-track album.
Which is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, for fucking 10 songs, and then it sold. This one's mind-boggling because this is by far the biggest album we've done number-wise. Sold over 20 million copies worldwide. It's 9 times platinum by the Record Industry Association of America, which is RIAA, which a lot of people consider pretty big. It's in 1980 was nominated for 2 Grammys, which won him one of them, which was the best R&B vocal performance for male for "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," which of course fucking iconic. Why not? And then he also in 1980 won 3 American Music Awards for best soul and R&B album, and then it was best male soul and R&B artist, and then soul R&B single for "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," which was the first time I think anybody's won 3 in one show. So, and then of course, like I hate because I hate this shit. This thing kind of pissed me off, but it was number 1 on Billboard's top black artist and top black album, which it kind of made me mad because this probably would have won the best album ever from both of them, like for both years or for that year for artist and album, which he probably deserved. And then this one this shows you how iconic this was. So in 2003, Rolling Stone released their top 500 albums that was like voted on by a lot of fans and whatnot. They did it in 2003. It was number 68 out of 500. And then in 2012, they redid it. Still stayed at number 68 out of 500. And then just last year in 2020, they redid it. Moved up. Went up to number 36 out of 500 albums.
Holy shit.
Which, I don't know what happened in those 8 years. Probably when he died, I guess. Well, in 2012, he was already dead, but it didn't move at all. Yeah. So, I don't know. It makes you kind of wonder, but it is phenomenal. And with this being said, it's the 3rd best-selling out of his albums. Thriller's number 1, and then it was the oh my god, the one that was like it had 3 words and like history or something. It was capital His Story or whatever. It's really iconic album. But a lot of critics and a lot of Michael Jackson fans, this was the biggest thing I was reading. It's arguable out there that this is the number 1 album from him. It's between that and Thriller. Like people are just because this one puts him on the map, and then Thriller just takes him over. Just takes him over. Park. Like the music videos in Thriller, all. Whoo, I can't wait to do those albums.
I was about to say that's got to be on the list.
That's gonna be crazy. But yeah, dude, this by far has won the most awards out of the albums we've done. And then, which brings me in before we start our own awards and whatnot. I wanted to bring up one last thing, and like I said, when we pretty much introed this album, we said it was one of the more iconic artists of all time, if not the best performer of all time. And that's what I want to talk about. Is the best performers of all time that I could come up just with my head that like I know we didn't get to see them, but we're talking a list of only like for sure like 12 people, but like I added 3 from our time that kind of weren't in there. Yeah. But the list that I came up with:
let me hear it.
Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Freddie Mercury, Elvis Presley. I wasn't the biggest Tina Turner fan, but I know a lot of girls love Tina Turner, and she was amazing. Big. Johnny Cash, 6, Prince, 7, Elton John, 8. These are no order. I'm not saying orders, but... And then we got Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
And then there's 2, there's Judy Garland and Betty Davis, who I know of, but like I'm not like the biggest fans of. But... And then I added Justin Timberlake in there, Chris Brown.
You got to.
And like I said, maybe The Weeknd and Drake, you know what I'm saying? But like performers, they're still not there. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even put them there. So I took Weeknd out. But Chris Brown for sure and Justin Timberlake. But if you add those 2, that's 13. That's 13 left right there. And then, of course, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson's.
And
probably that's the tip top.
I'm happy we're doing this in 2021 Because, like, dude, I mean, I could even literally, we can make music on our phones, dude. We can do anything nowadays. We can put it up on YouTube within seconds. But this is what truly makes these artists and whatnot different. And what's special about them is, like, yeah, there's people have one-hit wonders. People have good songs. People know how to make a good album. But it's, like, to be able to perform and to be known as that, and, like, not only you're listening to a good song, but I'm putting on a performance that you'll never forget, and the experiences of a lifetime.
Imagine being at an MJ concert,
dude,
bro.
Prince, MJ, any of these guys, Elvis, Freddie Mercury, like,
I mean,
to watch any of these people, it's insane. And it's like, I'm super happy we get to talk about this because, like, I know we just did 3 albums that we just talked about, but, like, Kendrick, like, he is a good performer on, like, MTV Awards and, like, the pyro and shit that they got now. Like, you're gonna have a good time at a concert, but for the actual artist to be a performer and a true talent, it's a whole other level. I don't even think we really have him nowadays. Like, Chris Brown's kind of older now and he's not really doing his thing, but in his prime, I would definitely say he's one of them. And Justin Timberlake, like I said, but they're getting older, you know, like they're not wasting that energy and whatnot. So that's the one thing I really wanted to at least put out there and just been like, dude, this is what makes him almost even more special. And I mean, shit, we have no reason sitting here saying anything about Michael Jackson because everybody already knows he's the man. But to truly go back and listen to this album, it's like, sheesh. So,
fire.
So real quick before we get our awards, let's just go with the top 3 songs. Because we usually do a top 5, but they're usually, like, nowadays, songs are like, or albums are like 18 songs, 16 songs, 20, some of them even.
At least 15.
Speaking of Chris Brown, his last, like, 3 albums I was looking the other day, his last 3 albums have, like, 45 songs each. Like, I'm not listening to 45 songs. Out. Yeah, oh, dude, these are all the songs.
I'm sure they're good, but
yeah, I mean, listening to, but, like, they're not going to be, like, making it an iconic album.
They're not.
Like, so,
Rock with you. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, the first 2, I hate to even go like this, but if your first 2 songs, 1 and 2, are not Don't Rock With Me, or Don't Rock With Me, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, or Rock With Me, would be a great song combined. But if those aren't your 1 or 2, regardless of how you want them,
I don't want to hear your list.
Yeah, you don't deserve to be in this conversation. So honestly, what's your number 3? I want to hear that. That's pretty much it. Because there was 4 for me that really, really.
I was gonna say there was 2 that I was, or actually 3, but I ultimately went with the album's name. I went with Off the Wall.
That's dope. See, I was between that Girlfriend and She's Out of My League, or Out of My Life, which she is out of my league. But yeah, I went with She's Out of My Life just because, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't been moved by a song like that in a while, and like I said, I really at the end of the day don't really have anything to bitch about or to cry about or anything.
Me neither.
And for me to listen to it was like dope. I like it. I'm in my feels for absolutely nothing right now, but it was pretty dope, and I don't get that often. You know what I'm saying? Like there are good songs we listen to, but like. They don't move us like that by the lyrics. Because, dude, there's really no beat on this fucking song. It's like a couple fucking piano keys, and that's about it. Like, it's phenomenal. Yeah. And, sheesh. But, yeah, you could have went... Honestly, with this album, you could have went with any of those songs for number 3. And I'm not going to hate
Number 3, yeah, I was about to say. But, number 3.
And then for me, personally, in number 2, I just went with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Not only did I go with the number 2 for it being 6 minutes long, and, like, no offense to 6-minute songs, I like Justin Timberlake's 2020 Experience, like 7-minute, 8-minute songs, and I love every single one of them.
Timberlake. But
like for me to actually listen to it like fully, I went with that to be number 2. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, because
you're not gonna see much difference from me because I also went with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Okay, perfect.
The number 2 spot.
See, me personally too, I think Rock With You has always been because that's my number 1, probably your number 1.
Yeah, it gotta be.
It's gotta be, yeah. So that's Rock With You's always been more of my favorite than that song. I mean, if I'm watching Chris Tucker perform it, like I think it's like I brought up, I think it's hilarious. At the Rush Hour, they did a great job. He sings it hilarious. It's a funny scene, and it's not 6 minutes long. So, but Rock With You has just always been one of my favorites for sure. Always been. It was the number 2 song on this album, at least when it came to numbers and stuff. So, but yeah, that's what's interesting because I almost was gonna text you and say the top 3 other than those 2, but I couldn't even probably come up with it. Yeah. She's Out of My Life, probably Off the Wall, and then probably Girlfriend or Get on the Floor, or even I Can't Help It. It would have been tough. Yeah, but yeah. So, do you have any other ones you want to shout out real quick before we get into our awards? Any other topic real quick? Like real quick. Let's go with a nitpick. Do you have any nitpicks at all?
Oh shit.
Because usually I tell them like these albums are amazing already in their own self. And nothing's perfect out here, so there's always that 1 or 2 songs you're like, probably could have done without. And not to give an award away, but like, are there any nitpicks at all from the album?
For a 10-track album, I really didn't have any nitpicks. I know I gave a song an award that we're gonna get into.
It's gonna be like
But it's like I'm not mad at that song. Like I'll listen to that song. But it's just like I had to give it an award. But I really don't have any nitpicks.
I was gonna say I think the only nitpick that I have is that he didn't put more songs on.
Right.
Like, that might be it.
Give us more.
That might be it. And the lack of music videos. Like I'm a big. When we're re-listening to these albums, like right before we do it, we go on YouTube because usually throughout the day I'm listening on Apple Music in my headphones or something while I'm doing stuff. So like it just to get the feeling. But then before we do this, we go through real quick and watch a video or watch whatever we can on YouTube. And there's absolutely, I think Don't Stop Till You Get Enough's got a music video, but it's not. It wasn't made till years later. And then same with Rock With You. It wasn't made till later. So, and it wasn't at the level of Thriller and whatnot. So, but yeah, that's probably my only nitpick is that there wasn't more songs.
Give us more.
And like I said too, in 2001, I think there was a bonus track. I think there was 10 songs that they put out there. But like 8 of them are like 40-second interviews with Quincy Jones talking about Michael, and then the other 2 were, I think it was Off the Wall had like a remastered version, and then one other song had like a retouched up version. But it wasn't. I didn't listen to them. It was probably couldn't even tell the difference. Maybe it just sounds a little better quality, but the way they redid all these, they sound phenomenal anyway. So, dude, let's get into our awards, the re-listenable awards that we always do. I'll let you pick. We only did 5. Usually we have like 10, but we couldn't give every song an award. I didn't want to. I wanted to keep it real. Yep. So I'll let you. Of course, the last one will pick out most re-listenables, but so out of the other 4, you can pick.
Well, I'm gonna give this song some love just because, and I'm gonna go with the Jamal Crawford Award, and that's obviously we went with top 3, so this would be like the 4th one coming off the bench, and like, all right, it's not the top 3, but that shit is fire, and it'll win you 6th Man of the Year. And I went with She's Out of My Life. And it was tough. I almost wanted to put it in the 3 spot after hearing it a couple times. I was like, but I didn't want to get too emotional. So I feel it. I had to stop after the 3rd time. I was like, dude.
I was going to say, if it didn't get number 3 on my list, it would have got it for sure. Yeah. And yeah, that's what I did. 6th Man of the Year, I went with Girlfriend. I think it's just, re-listen to it. Not only is it phenomenal, but like we said, Sir James Paul McCartney wrote that shit. Just makes it almost more iconic. Yep. And I know that's another good, talking about conspiracy theories, Paul McCartney might be dead. That might be the fake one. But hey, we're not going to get into it. It's not a Beatles album. You never heard that?
I've never.
Bro, Paul McCartney.
After this, I want to hear about it.
We'll talk about it in a Beatles album if we ever do one.
Ooh.
But, yeah, but anyway, I gave the 6th Man of the Year Girlfriend. And then,
okay, I like that.
See, I'm going to get this one out of the way because this is the most cheesy answer I'm going to give. The J-Lo Award, which is, I mean, you see Jennifer Lopez at fucking probably 18 years old, the bitch is bad. And then you see her 21, bad. And then you see her now at 50, probably even more gorgeous somehow.
Bad.
A-Rod, what the fuck are you doing? But anyway, J-Lo, hanging out with, did you see that?
Ben Affleck.
Batman? Oh, come on now. Bruce Wayne? But no, the J-Lo Award's just that one that's just like, better with age. Better. It's like fine wine. Like it's just always. It never gets out. It's always gonna be gorgeous. Even when she's 80, probably always gonna be gorgeous. Probably gonna have that thick ass still. So I couldn't come up with one of them. Like because you could go easy route. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough of Rock With You, and then
I did. Yeah.
The fact that I only heard 4 of these songs before I ever heard the album, that leaves 6 songs on here that I've never could even re-listen to for this long. So it's like I didn't want to be cheesy and give one to it. So I literally will say this entire album is just the J-Lo Award.
Wow.
Because 10 songs,
I like that a lot.
All of them are getting played. None of them are getting skipped when they're coming on now, especially now that I know the songs. Like, because if they would have came on before, I'd been like, I've never heard this one. Let's skip it. So, yeah. But yeah, I went with the cheesy answer.
I like that.
Just because I couldn't give one song to it, like, because if I would have gave it to She's Out of My Life or Girlfriend or for any of the other ones other than Don't Stop Till You Get Enough Rock With You and Off the Wall, like, I would be sitting here saying I didn't hear it that long ago, so I'd be lying. I don't know if it get better with age. So the album's pretty fucking phenomenal. So
I like that.
What do you got?
Well, if we're going against your rules, I broke your rules, but I've never heard girlfriend until today, and I never really thought J-Lo, like,
obviously
J-Lo's hot and all that, but, like, definitely appreciated her more now than I ever did when she was whatever young. So I gave the J-Lo award to girlfriend just because I was like, damn, she is. This is the first time hearing it, and it's been forever, but she's fine.
I'm not even mad. That's a song I probably would have picked. So I'm not. Yeah, I like it. I like the answer a lot.
Oh, thanks.
So I love that J-Lo answer. Okay, so now to two of them that I actually have answers for. You can pick out of the two.
Man, I don't want to do that award just because I really flubbed it up, but I'm gonna go with the Dr. Dre award, and that's the award for the best beat of a song.
One of the best producers of all time, in my opinion. Oh. Even though he wasn't even out when this album came out, so I probably should have renamed this like the Whispers Award or the Bee Gees or the Frank Sinatra Award, something crazy where it's like a more like
I like it
iconic instrument. But yeah, Dr. Dre deserves it. It's always gonna be that way. Best beat. What do you got?
I went with Burn the Disco Out, and just because most of that song is just beats, but and I guess you could honestly go with like obviously one of the Rock With You or Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Yeah,
you could have given awards to everyone
for real.
But I just like that one for me.
Personally. No, I love it. I think I was between Get on the Floor and I Can't Help It, and I ultimately went with I Can't Help It.
Yeah.
That last time we listened to it won me over. That won me over.
That was enough.
Phenomenal.
If I didn't write in pen, I would have erased.
And then probably the most iconic award that we've ever had, which is my personal favorite. Every time we announce it, it's hilarious. And then that's one of the ones I'm proud of coming up with, and.
He did.
And now we're actually doing a Michael Jackson album, which makes it almost even funnier. So we call this one the Jackson 4 Award, which is because we all know the Jackson 5. We all know they were iconic. But, like, we just finished, we have 46 minutes of just talking about Michael Jackson. He clearly goes on to become the biggest artist, maybe the biggest artist of all time. Arguably. Like, seriously, might be the number one. Probably the best performer of all time.
Top 3.
Probably the most... like infamous death of all time, like known of all time, like sheesh. But it's just the fact that he still could have done it all without the Jackson 4. So almost like we were talking nitpicks, the song that I could have done without, and this was tough because it's only 10 songs and they were all pretty fucking good. They all had the vibes. I went with It's the Falling in Love. Although it's a great song, I love the song. It just, if that's the fat that I had to trim, if you had a gun to my head and it's like, oh, I have to make this a 9-track album.
To get out of here.
All right, It's the Falling in Love. For me. So, bam.
Well, yeah, I was within 2 on that one, and it was between that one, and honestly, I don't know. I picked Get on the Floor, but I like the song. It's just there's 9 other ones that I think are better. It was just tough, but I mean, I'd listen to that song again in a heartbeat.
You want to know what won me over on Get on the Floor? Because I didn't like it that much when I first listened to it. But then, like I told you, it just gave me that like Justin Timberlake vibe, and it was like, wow. It almost made it worth it for me because that's what gave JT the influence for some of my favorite songs,
you are a big
and
JT
I really could
fan.
hear it. So, yeah, I'm not mad at Get on the Floor or It's the Falling in Love, because clearly you can't really pick a song, but like, it's if we had to pick one, gun to the head, we went with those. Those were the two. Those are honestly the two I would have went with too. So I'm happy with it. And then that leaves us the most re-listenable. I know we kind of already said our number one song, so like. I went with Rock With You. It's my number one song. I know a lot of people are going to pick Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. But Rock With You has always just been that one personally for me that I've always loved more. Just the vibes are dope. He's being real as shit too. Like, he just wants to be with you. Like, we've all felt that. So I love that song.
Well, don't have much to say about that because I did as well.
I figured Rock With You. Yeah, we usually go with our top 5 after the awards, but I want to just get out of the way.
I like that.
2 of the 3 were guaranteed. In any order. Yeah. So, but they had to be a number 1 and 2 for sure. So, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm trying to think real quick before like I said, I think I already talked about it, but Quincy Jones being the producer on here, it's phenomenal.
Way to go.
And like I said, the way that he met, I know I kind of touched up on it, but the way that him and Michael Jackson actually met was, a lot of people don't really realize because the movie was trash, but Michael Jackson played Scarecrow in The Wiz, and like there's multiple things out there. It's just like debut acting and all this stuff. I seen clips of MJ in it, but I've never watched the entire movie because I've heard it's trash. But he spent so much time for this role and so much like trying to like just become a Scarecrow and like literally become like the perfect person for this role. And literally the biggest critique from that movie, the biggest takeaway, positive at least, was that MJ was phenomenal in the movie. Like, he said himself he don't think he could play any better of a role in that movie. He went that far out on it, And that's literally critics and everybody, fans of the movies, everything said that was probably the number one takeaway, other than the movie being trash, was that Michael Jackson actually killed the role. So, and he ended up, like I said, meeting Quincy Jones, and then they instantly just dove right into music, because how aren't you going to dive into music when you see Michael? So, but dude, it's been a Relistenables, 50 fucking minutes, almost on the dot. This was a great one, off the wall. Solid. Michael Jackson, probably one of the few albums I can truly say that, other than their main songs coming out, that we haven't listened to at all. And we usually have heard these albums, so, but it was really cool to dive into these, and it's gonna open the floodgates for shit. So
it opened them.
The fact that we're 42 years after this album when we're talking about it and stayed that relevant, like, what a fucking album. So, Michael, I know you're gone. Sorry, son, but thank you for the album. Iconic. 21-year-old Michael. I couldn't even. We listened to Good Kid, Mad City. He was 21 too. Kendrick was.
These people.
And I'm sitting here like 21 years old. Jesus Christ, man.
Very talented.
I couldn't even write a fucking paper. Oh my goodness. But psych, I could easily.
No, I couldn't either.
To write a good fucking song, an album that means something?
And sing it?
I don't know anything, so. But yeah, it's been the Relistenables. Stephen Moustaris as always. Shane Shertzer. So have a good one.
Let's go. Boop.